I got money on my mind. I'm just trying to get some dough. I ain't picking up my line unless it's money on the phone.
So what led me into Bitcoin, man, like it really started like it's not even just Bitcoin. It's just what led me to being an entrepreneur in general, but especially around something like Bitcoin. I could take it back all the way to when I was a senior in high school, and me and my mother, we lost our home in '06, and that left us like bouncing from house to house. I was supposed to play high school ball with the hopes of playing college ball. Didn't really get to play, so that left me just hanging out with folks, being here and there with people, and eventually we would go party a lot. One of my friends, Travis Moore, was killed at a party, and that really affected my life. So I still went to college, A&T, Aggie Pride for all the Aggie listeners out there. But I didn't stay there. I ended up dropping out of school 2 years. It was due to financial situations. Like I thought leaving Charlotte was going to be the answer. You know what I mean? At 17, 18 years old, I'm thinking I'll just roll across some money. Everything will be good. You know what I mean? Like I didn't really have a plan when it came to finances or, really a plan to life in general. Um, and so I started doing a lot of partying, man. I ain't gonna lie, I would turn it up, smoking a lot of weed. And I just really started thinking to myself, like, man, what am I doing at school? Um, so I ended up dropping out of school. And the reason I dropped out was something so funny. I remember a professor put up a graph on the board and he said, in 4 or 5 years, there won't be no jobs available for y'all till after you graduate. 4 to 5 years after you graduate, won't be no jobs available in your field. And me, I come in class, I know I'm intelligent, but I'm definitely a party dude, bit of a smart aleck. Like I said, like the party. And I was like, man, that just doesn't make no sense to me. Like, what you mean? I said, you want me to sit here in this class 4 to 5 years after graduation, knowing salary maker want their money? And I was like, so what are we really doing here? And everybody at school looked at me crazy. That was the day I decided to drop out of school. But then I came home again, didn't really have a plan, just thought like something I know we're gonna make itself happen. And I started making, different decisions. And those decisions led me to go to prison for 3 years. And so after sitting in prison for 3 years, I was just like, man, we're gonna have to commit to some type of process. You know what I mean? We're gonna have to commit to something. So when I was in prison, I did a lot of reading, a lot of studying of myself. And I was prepared, I just told people I don't give a damn what it is. I'm gonna make $1 billion and some change, whatever. And folks like, what you gonna do when you get out? What's your plan? I said, I don't have one. I don't know what's going on. So I get out in 2014, and I really realized how real it is in the world, especially even if you left college, but definitely how real it was just being thrown back out to society, with nothing going on, no money, just will and determination. And what led me to Bitcoin was, man, like so. And I was 2014, so in 2016 I had my daughter, but before then I had transitioned to veganism, and so I used to cook food out my house and sell it. We used to, it was a business. It was really a hustle, but it was a business called Vegan on the Go, and I just cook and deliver vegan food out the house. And so, like y'all told me about dope, I ran across my homeboy who I played basketball with growing up, Bitcoin Zay, author of Bitcoin and Black America 1 and 2. Y'all go check that out. Y'all can Google that. That's my man's. And I was like, man, what is Bitcoin? This, that, and the third. He said, man, it's something that could change your life if you know how to do it right. I said, what you mean? Because Zay is really intelligent. And he said, it's kind of like gold, but it's not. Like it's everything money's supposed to be. I said, all right. So I said, I can take this, accept this for my business. He said, yeah. So I knew people wasn't into Bitcoin then, but I was using it to accept payment for my food. No one would buy it with Bitcoin. So after I stopped, cooking food, because I'm not really a cook like that, I really started dedicating myself towards, Bitcoin and knowledge, because it was one point in time I was walking outside with my daughter and I said, man, something has to be going on in the world. Matter of fact, I had this thought before I met up with Zay. I said, something has to be going on in the world that is so life changing that if you're there early, you could benefit from it. Because I started noticing how all these people in tech, not even Zuckerberg, but the folks who invested in Zuckerberg making all this crazy money, like not just chasing money though, but they knew what they were looking at. And I'm like, yo, what do I need to be looking at? And my main thing then, because everybody I felt I was in school with, like I started with $0. I used to work like crazy manual labor jobs. Everybody that I went to school with that were in finances were, either into their career about to take off. And I was just like, man, I need something that's really gonna be life changing. So when I found out about Bitcoin, it was like, all right, this is the thing here. This is what I'm gonna do. And the thing I told you all that I was gonna share with you here, the reason why I took Bitcoin so serious, because in 2016, when I was looking at Bitcoin online, it was only a few black people there, but mainly people there were white boys and Asians. And so the same thing happened in regular technology. White boys and Asians were the ones that were there first. So I realized, like, all right, this is gonna sound how it's gonna sound, but I wasn't about to be on CP time with Bitcoin. And so I decided, all right, this is what it's gonna be. And when I learned it and had the knowledge, I knew that I'd be able to, spread the power to anybody in the world, which led me to a platform like you all today.
And that's a damn good introduction to yourself, man. Man, it's some layers in there that we gotta kind of peel back, bro.
I mean, I love the determination and grit, like you said, just to make sure you found out like what things was. Like you was making it shake, even though you had those speed bumps, those adversities in the past. You made it shake and you figured it out up until, like you said, you found that thing. And that's I think where people would go wrong a lot of times. We never had that opportunity mindset. Like a lot of people could have been in your situation and would have been like, damn, man,
this ain't for me. This is clearly for white boys and Asians. But you said, no, I definitely think we need to be here.
Yeah, I mean, because man, like I when in school, I hated Black History Month because it always started at slavery and segregation. You know what I mean? So when I'm in prison, I'm reading what some might call extreme, whatever, but I'm reading about how we were intelligent enough to navigate the stars, how, and, I read Islamic material dealing with more science. I ain't gonna get into none of that, but I'm just saying what I read about the power of Black people let me know that I could do anything because I already did it. It's already been done for me. So I wanted to, tap into what it is because every time we get to an industry, we the ones who make the money for the folks. And Bitcoin is a situation where you're not making like it's surely group economics. You know what I mean? It's 100% group economics. Even if I don't know who's all in the group, so I knew the power of me as a Black man. I know the power of Black people. And to know like once that light switch goes off in Black people of what this is, it'll be on to the races. So that's where I was like, man, hey, y'all can be here. I don't have to be the smartest tech guy in the room, but hey, the smartest tech guys that look like me will come here. If they hear it correctly from someone that looks like them. And that's all it was. Because at the same time, other people like, man, like you said, that's for white boys and they ain't for me. And that representation, just wasn't there. So that representation had to be there.
I do love that. And I kind of want to ask you something where you said, Zay told you it's everything that money is not. Can you kind of explain what that meant?
All right. So first thing first, Bitcoin is a decentralized currency. So what made sense for me to know what decentralization was like I could take it back in prison. So in prison, you would have an ID card, right? And if you have an ID card, it's kind of like a debit card. If your people send you money, you know what I mean, and you could swipe that card, you could pay for your canteen, you could pay for everything you need. But if you got to hustle on the yard, kind of like how most people in prison do, then the currency on the yard is stamps. And the price of stamps was all determined based upon the price of stamps out in the free world. So when the price of stamps went from 44 cents to 45 cents on the yard, the price went from 30 cents to 35 cents. So that alone allowed me to understand what decentralization was. All right. So That's one thing. All right. Number two, and this is kind of like around like when people ask me what is Bitcoin, or like how is it different? So the number one thing, and I don't, it's hard for me to get into this one piece here on a podcast, which is why I do on the course or in like VIP meetings, but it's a scarcity asset. All right. So let's look at it like this. There will only be 21 million Bitcoins ever created. Money, 23% of the US dollar was printed alone this year. More money does not add value. It means it's going to be inflation. So when you have a scarcity asset like that, it's only going to go up in value. All right. It's kind of like real estate. People say real estate is valuable because of location, when in fact the main reason real estate is valuable because on the earth is made up of 27% land. So it can't be printed no more. You feel me? The location is just the other reason why. So you have that. It's decentralized. It's an asset that appreciates in value, unlike the dollar that's been going down since 1913. Um, and I can keep going on about decentralization because nobody is standing in between the money. It can be sent globally. Like it's the and then it's like gold. You know what I mean? Like, so let's say gold. Gold is all right. It's straight. It was that thing before Bitcoin, but gold is pretty straight. Gold, you don't know who all sits on gold, so the price of gold can be suppressed by the ones who have it. However, everybody pretty much accepts gold, except you can't send gold. I can't send y'all gold as a price as the pay currency in Dallas like I can with Bitcoin. So it's a medium of exchange as well. It's a storage of value.
I heard somebody say that, and I just, sorry to cut you off, but I just
Like,
thought about like Bitcoin is an actual currency. People talk about gold like it's a currency, but it's really a commodity. You can't buy nothing with gold, like you just said. And I just kind of with you were mentioning in there, you were talking about decentralization. So, and I just kind of want to dive a little bit deeper with it. So to kind of talk with like how decentralization works with Bitcoin, like, well, how are they keeping track of it if there's no central organization? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So it's technology. A part of it is Bitcoin is a data. It's technology. It's valuable data. All right. Like it did start out on the dark web. I will go ahead and put that elephant out there in the room. And that's something a lot of people fear, like, oh, it's starting the dark web. They do it for this. But yo, they've been using the same money y'all been doing for everything else. Like, they buy drugs, they buy guns with USD, the same money we all be talking about for years. You know what I'm saying? So let's go ahead and just toss that out there right now. So what I mean by decentralization though is this. Have any one of you on this call ever made a transaction outside your regular spending habits and the bank froze the transaction because they thought of fraud? They thought fraud activity was going on. That's a control of your money. That's control of your money at its finest. It sounds good for me to say, well, we're just making sure you're making this purchase. However, you don't need to make sure. I done worked hard for this. I could buy what I want. All right. That's one aspect. So the part where you ask who's keeping log of it, there's another one. It's called the blockchain. So on there's a record. Bitcoin was created in 2008, 2009. So ever since the very first transaction in 08 or 09, where Satoshi Nakamoto sent a Bitcoin to a man who died by the name of Hal Finney, every single transaction is on there. So the record is already stored. It's all technology. There is no central server. There is no way that you can hide what's going on with the money. Everything is record. And you can go to blockchain.info if you want to right now on your phone, and you'll just scroll down and see every single transaction that Bitcoin has ever taken place. So that's there. And another way is just, again, like, there are so many people in between exchanges of money. Like, even when you have an investment, you got what, capital gains tax. How many taxes do y'all pay? Because I'm gonna be real honest with you all right here, right now. Bitcoin is the first investment outside of myself that I've ever made. So I don't really know too much about legacy markets. However, now in 2020, it stands for me that it's just not, it just doesn't make no more sense.